So I've been putting off making these videos because I wanted them to be energetic, I wanted them to be exciting, and I wanted them to be as professional as possible. But I have no idea what I'm doing, and life is messy. So more than anything, I want these videos to be authentic, and they're probably going to be messy too, because we're talking about mental health, mental illness, and it is messy. I wanted to be full of energy and script it perfectly and get the lighting perfect. I've just been feeling like crap, so we're just gonna roll with it and see what happens. Because we need to talk about mental illness more. We need to talk about mental illnesses way, way more. One of the things about them is that if you haven't had a mental illness, they're kind of scary because they're kind of unknown, you don't know what they're like, and maybe you've seen what they can do to people on TV or films or whatever. And if you do have a mental illness, you probably don't want to talk about it because it sucked, it's difficult, and there's a lot of stigma. So those two things combined kind of mean nobody wants to talk about mental illness, but I think we kind of have to talk about mental illness. Because unfortunately, if you don't want to talk about mental illness, it just makes things difficult. Because when I started struggling with depression, I felt so lonely and isolated, and I just needed a friend. But I'd spent years thinking depression was this thing that was only for weak people or for lazy people. So all of a sudden, I was like, I'm not that person. I'm not weak and lazy. I know I have depression, but I had this cognitive dissonance and this inner struggle. It was horrific. So it would be great if we could just make talking about mental illnesses in a really healthy and authentic way a normal part of our lives. Because usually people don't want to talk about mental illnesses until they're either faced with them or someone they love is faced with them. At which point we want to talk about them or we want to learn about them or whatever it is. But it would be great if we could just make chatting about mental illness a healthy, normal part of growing up, so that when these mental illnesses inevitably do come and mess with our lives, we're better prepared, we're better to support other people or be supported ourselves. So I want to start this channel because I think it's really important we talk about mental illness, but talk about it in a really particular way. Because we don't want to be adding stigma, we don't want to make people more isolated or lonely, and we don't want to kind of be, I don't know, inflicting harm on ourselves by kind of portraying an unhelpful narrative about mental illness. So I want this channel to be authentic when it talks about mental illnesses. I want it to be really honest about how much it sucks and how difficult it can be, because that's really important to connect with others and also just to let other people know it really does suck to have a mental illness. I also want this channel to be a place where people who have mental illnesses can come and be like, oh yeah, me too. Because when I was really, really struggling in the depths of despair with depression and anxiety, one of the big things that helped me kind of turn a corner was someone else being like, I know what that's like. Let me give you words to vocalize your struggles, to articulate your distress. And that was huge for me. So hopefully we can do that for other people. And finally, we want it to be a place where people can learn about mental illnesses. Because before I struggled with mental illnesses, I could tell you some dictionary definitions about things, but I had no idea what it was like. I was really skeptical and really wasn't a helpful person to chat to. So hopefully we can help other people learn too. Yeah, so my name is Nyron, and I grew up in Kenya, mostly, and I loved playing sports. I had lots of friends, was doing well in school, and just generally loving life. So I never thought something like a mental illness would affect me. But after about a year of going to university in the UK, then I started really struggling with depression and anxiety. And it was just awful. I could not imagine life could be so difficult. It was terrible. And 7 years later, here we are, still struggling with illnesses. No longer so much the depression and anxiety, but what's called a depersonalization disorder. So I want to keep talking about this. I'm passionate about people talking about mental health in a really holistic, positive, realistic, and hopeful way. Because I want people to know that mental illnesses suck. But I also want people to know that there is support for them, that there is healing for them, and also there's a God who loves them a lot. Thanks so much for watching this. If you want to help out the channel or just think talking about mental health is important, please drop a comment, drop a like, and subscribe. I'm new to this YouTube thing. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do know I need a certain amount of subscribers to unlock some certain channel things. Anyway, it'd be really helpful. Or just comment down your best joke. It would be encouraging. Thanks so much.